ESB recently announced that they are investing $11 billion in renewable energy over the next decade, most of this in the wind energy sector. One company who has already spent 10 years setting the standard in wind energy production in Ireland is Airtricity. Currently operating 19 wind farms around the country, including an offshore site on the Arklow Bank, the company continues to grow as Ireland looks to a renewable energy future.
We're probably the single largest wind farm operator in the country at the moment, and we believe that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. So the company has grown from a value of probably a couple of €100,000 to a valuation probably close to $1.5 billion.
While it is clear that Ireland needs to review its current energy production methods, many people are unaware of how wind turbines work and their contribution to the electricity network.
Each turbine is made up pretty much of a tower. You have the box on top of the tower, which is called a nacelle, and then 3 blades. So the box on top of the tower, the nacelle, is able to rotate on the tower, so it always faces into the wind. The wind then blows across the rotor. The blades are designed to pick up as much wind as possible. That turns the rotor. It's connected to a big shaft then inside that goes through the nacelle on top of the turbine. That feeds into a gearbox. The shaft is just turning at a slow speed, goes into a gearbox which speeds up the rotation to go into the generator. You need high speed rotation to create electricity. So the high speed shaft goes into the generator. It turns. Generators pretty much 2 big magnets, one turning inside the other. That creates electricity. The cables then from the generator just run down the tower, go underground. All the turbines on the wind farm, then the cables all run underground to a central point, which is called a substation, and that's fed then through a transformer normally onto the national grid. The cost varies significantly. The smallest maybe $1 million, up to the largest are about 3 million euros. The cost we run by, that's just the cost for the turbine. Then to build a wind farm you have to put roads, the substation, the cables, all that kind of stuff. So the cost typically runs to about 1.8 million per megawatt installed. It's kind of a rough number, that a rule of thumb we use for constructing wind farms. In terms of megawatt hours, you're talking about 60,000 megawatt hours per year for a typical 20 megawatt, wind farm with 10 or 15 turbines. That probably means nothing to you though. In terms of that would be enough, say, to produce electricity for about 15,000 houses. Even that sometimes I think is difficult for people to grasp. The way I always like to explain it is in terms of the 100-watt light bulbs. Everyone knows what a 100-watt light bulb is. So a typical wind farm would generate enough electricity to keep 600 million 100-watt light bulbs on. There are losses. Any time you transport electricity, you lose some of the energy through heat. So cables kind of get warm and you lose energy that way. But actually in Ireland, I'm not sure around the world, but in Ireland the overall losses on the network are less now because of having wind farms, and the reason is that wind farms are generally dispersed around the country in remote locations. So rather than having 3 or 4 big power stations that are having to transfer electricity all over the country, now you've got a lot of small generation stations around the country, so you don't have to transfer the electricity as far. So it's actually a benefit to the system to have multiple generators all around the country.
One institution that has opted to have their electricity travel a much shorter distance is Dundalk Institute of Technology. In 2005, a wind turbine was installed on campus, which provides 50% of their electricity supply.
I knew we could put in a wind turbine that would reduce our electricity bills. And after doing some feasibility work, it appeared to make economic sense as well as being a good subject for research. So we decided to pursue it, and it worked out. The contract value was €1.127 million. That was the total cost for everything. And so if you save 150,000 a year, then you're talking sort of 7.5 year payback time. We went for planning permission because it's the largest structure, there's Hollis structure in Northeast Ireland, and it's in a town on top of that, so we weren't sure whether the locals would find it acceptable, and so I went and consulted with all the locals, and we had an open day, and we got planning without one objection, which was pretty amazing. And there's a number of benefits. Some of them are not tangible, but the tangible benefit is we save about $150,000 a year off of our electricity bill, and that improves every time the cost of electricity goes up. The savings improve. So that's pretty tangible, let's say. But also, the college is now very well known, you know, because it has this wind turbine. So we've seen our engineering program enrollments go up, and the town now has the Dundalk 2020 Energy Zone project happening here. Sustainable Energy Ireland are moving here. And so the wind turbine has been a catalyst for a number of things. And then there's just the feel-good factor, you know? It's nice.
Following the work of companies such as Airtricity and smaller ventures such as the Dundalk IT wind turbine, the ESB has finally accepted that wind energy is a viable alternative, and it would appear that Ireland is taking positive steps towards a 100% sustainable energy future.